The biggest issue with transplant right now that I've seen is that you have too many complacent, compliant patients. You have too many patients that are just these silver lining, toxic positive patients that are just happy to be here. They're just happy to be alive, and they're also grateful. And they don't rock the boat. They don't say anything. They don't complain, right? Because nobody wants that moniker of being a complainer. Right? We live in a society where it's never the system's fault. It's always our fault. Well, what can I do to make this better? How can I, as a patient, just find a way? Can you just, and I've had people say this to me, can you just find a way to just be happy with where you are? Can you just find a way to just be happy about being a dialysis patient? You wake up every day and you see the sun and you're just alive and you're just so happy, and that's the problem. What incentive does UNOS and OPTN have to change everything if everybody is just happy with if all dialysis patients are just happy with where they are? They're happy with their lives. They're happy with the situation that they're in. Oh, well, I'm just going to go for a stupid walk or write in my stupid journal. I'm going to learn how to paint, or all of this stuff is just distractions. That's what they want. They want you to be distracted. So that way they have an excuse to not do their job. There is not nearly enough patients speaking up about how this really is, how they truly feel, because they're just quietly, just politely, just waiting their turn. And that's exactly where they want you to be. 6 years for a kidney, 6 years or more for a kidney, that's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous amount of time. What people forget is that those are years, 6 or more years. And I've had conversations with medical professionals within this field that scoff. They laugh at me when I bring up the idea of transplant because of how much of an impossibility that it seems to get an actual transplant. I had a doctor say to me just Friday, that, what did you think, Carl? You thought you were just going to get on the transplant list and they were just going to give you a transplant? Yeah, that was exactly what I thought, because that was the whole point of me getting on a transplant. The idea of me getting a transplant, especially as an African American, seems preposterous to people. And 6 or more years is unacceptable. It's not enough for them to we're finna do something. We're finna do something. We got this plan that we're gonna do, and we're finna do it. It's not enough anymore. Like, you have to start actually doing it, right? I would like some of these policies and their action agenda that they're talking about on their website. I would actually like to reap the benefits of some of this before I'm too old to matter. But it seems that I'm gonna be well into my 40s by the time they actually implement anything. That's if I ever get a call. And that's something that they don't promote, is that some patients never get the call. They keep blowing this smoke up my ass like, oh, it's going to happen. But there's a real possibility that it won't. All of these doctors and these nurses, and they talk about all of this crap about how, they like young people and you're doing good and blah, blah, blah. And that's just bullshit. It's all bullshit. None of that stuff matters, because transplant is just this random event that just happens. And the first person that gets picked is usually the first person that gets it. Like I said in the last video. And there's not enough patients pissed off about that. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, you're on the transplant list? You've been on the transplant list for 15 years? And they have made no attempts to try to get you a kidney? Doesn't that make you angry? And most of the responses, well, yeah, but it is what it is, just trying to stay positive, every cloud's got a silver lining, everything happens for a reason, if God didn't want me to be here, I wouldn't be here, and that's all of that stuff is bullshit. See, the issue with patients with that mentality is that nothing ever changes. It's not like UNOS and OPTN are going to be so altruistic that they're going to get up off their lazy asses and change the system for the better. No, people have to get angry. There has to be outrage. People have to demand better. It's your life. If you are a dialysis patient, it is your time that is being wasted. They give you this bullshit consolation prize of, well, you're a cure in time. That's bullshit. Every year that passes that you don't get a transplant, you're getting 1 year older. And transplant's going to get more and more challenging the older that you get. That's the reality of the thing. That's what they're not telling you. Things need to change, and they need to change today. Not for a better tomorrow. Not for the generation 20 years from now. Things need to change right now. And I'm not just talking about myself, because I'm sure that many of you dialysis patients out there, I'm sure you have kids of your own. And those kids that you have are going to have their own kids. And I hate this idea, right? There's so many people that think they know where they're going to be in the next 10 years, but you really don't. Do you really want the system the way it is to continue to stay the way it is for if something happens to one of your kids or one of your kids' kids or one of their kids' kids, your spouse, somebody your aunt, your uncle? Don't you want the system to be better for them? So that way, if your son or your daughter or somebody that you love that is unfortunate enough to end up on the transplant list, it doesn't take them damn near a decade to help them. If we, as the patients, hold them to the obligations that they themselves have created, and the processes start now, it's only up from here. But nothing is ever going to change if you're just sitting back, staying positive, waiting your turn.